What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another War Within video. Hope you're all doing very well. We're going to talk about the horrific visions that are coming out literally tomorrow. You're probably going to be watching this on the day that they're out, actually, on the Tuesday. And I'm just going to go over the whole system again. I did this in a previous video, but there is new information that has been released that we are going to cover. And I also just want to go over the entire system as a whole. Okay, so, yo, I really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe on the video. I gotta get some coffee. Bye. In the next patch on Tuesday, this whole zone's gonna open up over here. This is in Dornegal, right? And there's gonna be access to horrific visions. Horrific visions were from Battle for Azeroth. They were a standalone sort of single player experience. You could do them with friends, I think, too, but generally speaking, people did them alone. And they kind of, it was, you were fighting against the insanity that was inside these things, and it was in Stormwind and Orgrimmar, and the exact same system is going to be re-released now in the game as it is in the War Within. A couple of different additions. We're not going to have a legendary cloak that gives us sanity resistance. Instead, we're going to get like passive sanity resistance, and we now have this upgrade tree here, which is going to bring back all the same sanity resistance buffs that we got. As you run horrific visions, you're going to cash them in. You're going to cash in your corrupted mementos right here, and then that's going to feed into this hourglass, and you're going to get a bunch of upgrades that are going to make the entire horrific vision experience easier for you. That's how this works, okay? There's also vendors over here for like catch-up, so you can spend corrupted mementos. Once you're done upgrading that hourglass, you can spend them on gear for your alt characters, and there's actually some really powerful gear here, like heroic gear. So that's a nice little addition that they've added as well. Now, once you go into this portal, it's going to put you into this second room, okay? This is where you kind of set up your horrific vision. This is like the staging area, okay? Now, there's a bunch of stuff in this room, and I'm going to talk about them right now. Number one, there's a new NPC that you can have that will help you go through, and I think one thing I want to hear what you guys think about this in the comments down below, but basically, oh my god, stop talking, Rathion. There's an NPC that you can now get to come with you, which is very interesting. You can get a tank, you can get a healer, you can get a DPS. You basically don't need to run this with any of your friends, which I think is, again, another interesting decision Blizzard is making. All the content Blizzard has been making in the last little while has been very focused on the single player experience. Things like delve upgrades, things like the outdoor world events, which has always been the case. There's always been outdoor world events, but there's been a lot more focus on the delve content as well. And there's another patch coming after this one, 11.1.7, that's going to have a new belt that we can unlock from delves that'll probably end up being mandatory, which is very interesting. So anyway, I think Blizzard's focus on the single player experience is an interesting thing, sort of a different philosophy from what they've done before, and I want to hear what you guys think about it in the comments down below. Now, you can grab an NPC. They can help you run through the visions, okay? You can also use these masks. You can see there's these masks around, and Blizzard is adding 3 additional masks. From BFA, there was 5, and now there's going to be 8. So what do these masks do? They're essentially just affixes that you're adding into your visions when you're going back and doing them yourself, okay? So when you just choose to put this on, it gives you a debuff, reduces maximum sanity by 50%, increases corrupted mementos gain, and then enemy damage and health goes up as well. So every one of these masks gives you some kind of debilitating problem that is pretty substantial that you're going to have to overcome. And if you do that, you're going to get more of the currency that you're trying to farm here, which is the corrupted mementos. Now, a question I've gotten in my other video and a question that people wanted to know is this going to be endlessly farmable? And with the new update, yes, in fact, it is going to be endlessly farmable. That's what Blizzard just announced. So you used to have a vessel of horrific visions. You don't need that anymore. You can just go in as many times as you want. There's no barrier to entry. So you can farm this as quickly as you want or as slowly as you want, whatever the case might be. Okay. Now, farming this quickly, like what's the point of farming this? Well, of course, you're going to end up getting rewarded with the enchants for your helmet now, which is going to be, they're bringing back the corrupted effects that we put on our gear before. It's not the same as it was in BFA. It's just a helmet enchant now. I'll get to these in a second at the very end, but I want to talk about the rest of this really quickly. These masks, they add difficulty, okay? They're making the content harder, but then you get more mementos. Very, very cool. You can farm these endlessly. There's also some benefits that you can get as well. So these little like tribute things that are around the room now, they basically tell you that these are buffs you can give yourself that sort of help to counter the debuffs that you're getting from the masks. So you want to try and figure out how to farm these tributes to buff them, and it kind of gives you a hint here, like further empower this tribute by killing N'Zoth minions in Orgrimmar. So that's very simple. Just kill stuff in the Orgrimmar version of the visions. Now it'll swap from week to week. I believe you're gonna have Stormwind one week and then Orgrimmar the next week, and then it'll go back and forth. So it's kind of cool. They've added these tributes now. So masks debuff you, tributes buff you. Your little hourglass thing outside also buffs you while you're in there, and it's all kind of there to balance it out. You can have an extra NPC to come help you out to try to balance the terms of the engagement when you're in there. And I can show you. Actually, I'd have to leave. I'm not gonna. I showed it in my other video. If you want to really watch what it looks like, I can show you in the other video. But I'm just gonna leave for now and show you the outside once again. Let me go back to the article from Blizzard here. Some cool points here. So, there's the 3 new masks that are coming. Again, these are the debuffs. So there's one where it says killing enemies will bolster nearby enemies. So it's kind of like the old affix from Mythic Plus. Then you got the faceless aspect of the Nemesis. Your Nemesis will spawn every 25 kills. Nemesis is an elite mob that has a sanity breaker abilities and awards sanity via the elite extermination tribute when killed. So he gives you a bunch of insanity if you kill him, and every 25 kills that you get in a vision, he's going to spawn and he's going to mess you up. Then there's the faceless mask of multitudes. More enemies will be present. That seems like almost like a buff, although the more enemies that are present, the more chances you have of losing sanity. So it's a bit of a catch-22 there. Okay. There's the Sindormi helper NPC. And then there are the upgrades, as I talked about before. We've got the hourglass that's sitting out here, and of course the tributes, which are all going to help you to buff your sanity resistance so that when you're inside these visions, your sanity isn't draining as quickly as it might have been otherwise, because that's essentially what happens. When you go into these visions, you have a sanity bar. Once it gets to 0, you have to leave, and whatever you've done up to that point is what you've done. Now, at the very beginning of your journey into this new, side content, you're not going to have very much sanity resistance. You're going to have 0, basically, and you're going to have to slowly build it up. But again, you can grind this endlessly if you want to, and max it all out as quickly as you want to. There's the hourglass upgrades, and then those are the tributes I talked about, and that's the whole article there. So this is going to be a really cool system. I think what's most interesting to me is that it's a single player experience within an MMO, and they're putting a lot of time and effort into making it good. And that's really cool. I don't mind that at all. You can do this in a party. It's not only a single player thing, but I would say 90% of people are going to do this on their own. And it's just interesting to see that Blizzard is really doubling down and supporting kind of the single player experience in this game, Delves, Outdoor World stuff, and then now this. So very interesting. Again, when it comes to rewards, what are you looking for? You're looking for these corruptions. So at the very beginning of your kind of journey here, you're going to end up getting rewarded with one of these lesser runes, and you can choose whichever rune you want. There are 6 different ones. So there's the Twilight Devastation, there's Void Ritual, Gushing Wound, Twisted Appendage, Infinite Stars, Echoing Void. Okay, they all do damage. There's no healer one or tank one. They all do damage, and they end up going on your helmet as an enchant. Okay, you're probably going to get one of the lesser ones earlier on, and then once you probably do some more difficult content within the visions, once you sort of maybe add a mask or 2, you'll probably get rewarded with one of these greater ones. I don't know exactly how you get these greater ones. They haven't told us, but I'm assuming it's going to involve having to put on at least one of those debuff masks and then completing a horrific vision with that on, and then maybe you'll get one of these. I tested every single one of these on the dummies, and as a DPS player, they are a very low amount of your damage. All of these basically added up to about 1 to 1.5% of your overall damage when I was testing it on 5 targets on the dummies, right? Except for Twilight Devastation. Twilight Devastation ended up being about 2.5%. It was like 2 to 2.5%. So it's very, very good. Excuse me. Comparatively speaking, it's very good. Now, there's one of these corruptions that is just a stat stick. It gives you this stacking stat buff that is very substantial. So your spells and abilities have a chance to increase all secondary stats by 123 for 20 seconds. So that's every second. It adds up to about 2,050 secondary stats: haste, crit, mastery, verse, all 4 of them up by 2,000. Now, that only is at the very last ticking point of the stack, right? Like they go up by 123 and then 250 and then 3, you know, it goes up slowly. So that's a lot of stats. Most characters really care about their secondary stats. And this is going to end up becoming probably by far the best corruption. If you want the coolest corruption, though, in my opinion, it's Twilight Devastation. It looks really, really cool when you're using it. It has this really cool like beam effect. I'll show you in a second. I'm a little frustrated with Blizzard. Excuse me. I'm actually pretty frustrated with Blizzard because I'm so tired of like trinkets and extra effects that we get just being stat sticks. There's the Twilight Beam right there. Look at that. Boom. I mean, that looks pretty cool. There's another one. It doesn't usually spawn this much. So this is a little misleading. But there you go. That's what Twilight Devastation looks like. And I think like it's going to end up becoming, there it goes again, a substantial part of your damage. If it procs this much, but it usually doesn't. So I don't know. We'll have to see. But at the end of the day, it was only about 2.5% of my damage, which very cool. I think the stat stick one is going to be the best one for most people. We'll have to really wait and see kind of what that ends up looking like. But you can see Twilight Devastation. It was 5.3% there. That was extremely lucky. I'm not lying to you there. That was pretty lucky. That's not going to happen in every single one of your keys. Also, this thing does more damage if there's more targets, right? So in a single target environment, it doesn't do that much. Now, again, you can pick whichever one you want. You can go for some of these other ones if you want to, but in my testing, they were only around 1.5% of my damage. On a healer or a tank, it's going to be a lot more. Very, very cool. That's corruptions in a nutshell. That is the whole system in a nutshell. And one of the big pieces of information that we were lacking is whether or not you can spam these things. And now we know you can. You can spam these things until you're done. You just upgrade your tree all the way to full. You get your big corruption enchant that you want, and then you're done if you don't want to farm anymore. Now, again, if you want to do this as a piece of content and you want to challenge yourself, they've added in these 8 masks, right, at the around the circle. And I think like this is going to become one of the hardest pieces of single player content, I think, in the entire game, like by far. Like there are so many masks here. Adding one of these masks made monsters, you know, 50% less sanity. Enemies deal 25% more damage from one of these masks. I don't know if every one of them does the same thing, but if it's anywhere near as hard as this one is, then you're going to be having a really difficult time. Monsters will be doing like 250% more damage, and they're going to have way more health, and it's going to be a huge challenge. And I think for the single player person in this game, or somebody who doesn't want to do Mythic Plus or raiding, this is a very, very cool opportunity to go deep into this piece of content and just try it for fun, to see how far you can go, how much you can challenge yourself, and how much you can like accomplish while you're in there. I think it's actually pretty cool that they're adding these in and that they're adding 3 additional masks on top. So that's the corruption system again in a nutshell. This is the big update that we got with from Blizzard's Wowhead article. I want to hear what you guys think in the comments down below. Please let me know. Are you going to be farming this endlessly on Tuesday? Are you just going to farm it until you've got what you needed and then you're out? I would love to hear what you think down there in the comments down below. Thank you so much again for watching. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next one.